Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a Chinese tea, actually a Taiwanese tea. To get started, got a gaiwan, got a spoon, got my kettle, water that's been heated up, and I'm just going to scoop out enough here. This is a 3-ounce gaiwan, so I want enough to just kind of cover the bottom inch and a half of the diameter of the base there, the bottom there. Add my water again. As usual, not a full rolling boil. A lot of people will actually recommend, just below boiling. The idea being that boiling water, especially too long a boil, removes oxygen from the water, which oxygen helps release aromatic compounds, flavor, so you want to avoid that. So early boil, started to rumble, not a full rolling boil, and I want a little bit of water, just above the rim of my lid. That keeps, you want oxygen, but you don't want a lot of air coming in and changing the color of the liquor. So that's the reason why I like to have just a little bit of water above the rim of my lid when I put the lid on my gaiwan. Now, introduce this tea, talk about it. This is from Yezi tea, a newer tea company. This is their WenshanPouchong, or Baozhong is in the more standard Mandarin pronunciation, Baozhong. You can get 1 ounce for $5.95. Yezi tea on the product page for this particular tea gives a little bit of background information. They actually tell you about the farmer, whose name is Chen Gaoxiu, and Chen Gaoxiu is in the Pinglin area, the Wenshan area, the actual Wenshan, the Wen Mountain. So this is from the kind of the traditional origin of this particular tea. WenshanPouchong is not, you can't really say it's a Chinese tea style that's brought over to Taiwan. It's kind of signature Taiwan. So talk about this tea, explore the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor, starting off here with the dry. Light aromas, and WenshanPouchong, as far as an oolong category, it's generally subtler, lighter, gentler. You get very light notes, almost like a English laurel. There's something slightly floral, a tinge kind of stemmy, woody about it. Let me scoop out a few of these leaves. Look at them. Scooping them out, you get some deep green colors. This is kind of a deep green-gray. I have seen lighter colors than this. This one's, again, twisted along the middle vein, lengthwise, say from top to bottom of the leaf. Most of these appear to be intact leaves, so that you have, and these are not the youngest, newest leaves. So you've got pieces like this one here. That would be about 2 or 3 inches long if that leaf were flattened out. So you can have full leaves, longer leaves. You can have leaf portions. A lot of times, again, those portions are more than 1 inch in length. Occasionally, here and there, you'll get a little stem. So you've got individual leaves, not necessarily pairs or sets, but you still have a little bit, sometimes a little stem that didn't get filtered through properly. So that's a little bit about the dry leaf. Like I said, I've seen some that are lighter than this. There can be different levels of heat that takes place. There can be some processors may add a bit more tinge of oxidation, which we may see more indication of in the wet leaf. But I'm going to go ahead and pour now. Get this up to the side here. Shake out those last few drops. Talk about this wet leaf here. First off, the aroma. The sweet aromas, again, English laurel. I'm even going to step out a little bit further, say there's something kind of honeyed sweetness, there's something kind of toasty about this. One thing that comes to mind that has that honey and the toasty, graham cracker. There's just an element, a graham cracker type element in this. So it's got a nice intensity. It's got some people may detect that more as a bit more of a hyacinth, a lilac even. But just for me, the toasty plus the sweetness said graham cracker. Now I'm going to pull out a few of these leaves here, gently unfurl them because they loosen up pretty well. These are fairly delicate leaves. They've got some resiliency, although I could many much more tug than that, they would rip it apart. Leaf portion here, not the full leaf. Don't see any kind of blotchiness, oxidation took place on that leaf portion. Let's see what else. Let me pull out just a couple more, see what's here. A lighter color leaf. Of course, all these have kind of lightened up. This one's a bit paler. This one does have a little bit of oxidation just along the kind of the jagged teeth of the leaf there. So I'll set that one there so that you can kind of see, here and there will be some oxidation. And let me pull out just one more. This one is a bit darker, feels a bit thicker leaf here. Again, let's see. Little to no, I don't really see oxidation here. This is just once in a while on an occasional jagged little tooth edge there of this particular leaf. This leaf is nearly complete, maybe a little bit of the bottom missing. So I'm going to set that down. I want to say that I've seen Pouchongs that had more of a curl to them, a little bit more of a roll to them, but that's not necessarily a requirement. There is some flexibility there. I'll hold this to the light. Look at this liquor for a moment. Bright gold color. Again, this was a fairly brief steeping. I've seen some lighter, paler colors than this and in other Pouchongs. Not necessarily to say that lighter, paler is necessarily better. I'm going to give this a smell. Lighter aromas there in the cup. Let me see what I can pick up. It's gentler, it's subtler, it's still the graham cracker, it's still a bit of the English laurel. Now, a lot of your Taiwanese, that's a point I should stop here and make. A lot of your Taiwanese oolongs, more lightly oxidized, some of the high mountain oolongs that are, again, less oxidized, less of a fiery note to them. They often do better as the tea liquor cools. They get a bit more stronger, pronounced characteristics. So I'm going to try this one kind of warm, and I'll see what happens as the pitcher cools off a little too. Texture is light, although that's to be expected with a more lightly oxidized oolong like this. Still some of the same characteristics that I noted in the dry leaf and the wet leaf, even the aromas of the liquor. Still a bit of the graham cracker coming out, a bit of the English laurel. They're more subtle than they were in say the dry leaf there. And again, I'm going to let this kind of cool. Aftertaste wise on these sips and texture wise, texture was fairly thin at first. In the aftertaste, it seems to it resonates a bit more strongly, so that I feel like there's still a coating on my mouth. At first, it seemed astringent. It seemed just kind of a drying sensation, but now it's a bit more of a smoother, more rounded feel. Aftertaste-wise, a bit of a kind of a sweetness in the aftertaste. As it cools, it's starting to kind of round out. Those characteristics are beginning to kind of balance out a little bit more. So The aromas pick up a little bit. The texture picks up a little bit. It starts to kind of smooth out. The astringency drops off some as well, so it doesn't feel quite as biting on the surface of the tongue, on the roof of the mouth, the sides of the cheek, the insides of the cheeks. I'll do this just a splash more. Yeah, again, as this tea cools, this is happening, in this tasting. It happened in off-camera tastings previously. It begins to round out more as the temperature drops after steeping. This particular tea, as a Baojong, nice characteristics, not quite the most complex as far as aroma, character, not the most pronounced aftertaste as well. So in the aftertaste, what I'm getting right now is more of the kind of having finished a graham cracker. Again, it's a bit of sweetness. It's a bit of a kind of a dryness there in the mouth. And there's a bit of astringency that's just kind of in the back, under the underside of my tongue. And it's not really the smoothest sensation. Okay, so looking at this tea, still got nice components, still rounding out quite fairly well as it cools. So I would give this one somewhere between. I'm stuck between 89 and 90. I'm gonna have to choose. I'm gonna choose 89. Nice components, something that you may want to explore for yourself. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find those teas that you want to explore for yourself. Teas that if you're looking for someone for a gift, maybe this would help you point you in the right direction as well.